Hey everybody, it's Tanner. Welcome to Shooting a Short Film on Film. In this video, we're talking about going to LA basically and getting some of the film. I'll talk about how I got that film for a dramatic discount and talking about some shenanigans that ensued even before we got started on our first day. As always, with that being said, let's jump right into it. Hey, good morning to you. I am been on the road since 5 in the morning. It is one day before travel day for the Lone Mountain principal shoot. I'm flying out of Salt Lake City to LA to go meet up and pick up our film stock as well as our film kit. We're shooting on the SR2, the Arriflex SR2. In order to get that, we have to fly there, pick it up, fly back with it, and then after the shoot's done, we're gonna drive down here again, fly back to there, and then fly back same day. So really, this is kind of the start of that. This is the start of this whole process. Once we get that film camera on hand, it's gonna be kind of like the official green light of this project starting. So I'm excited, mostly nervous, but we'll just take it one step at a time. Because I'm in Idaho Falls, it is a lot cheaper to fly out of Salt Lake City, which is a couple-hour drive for me to get down to LAX, and that basically gave me about 5 hours in total to get my rental car, go downtown, pick up the film, go to Chris Saul, who's out in Thousand Oaks, get back to the rental car, drop it off, and then back to the airport and fly out with my new precious cargo. Just me. Alex didn't come this time. He was in Phoenix, actually. I was going to pick him and his wife up and then hightail it us both together to Idaho Falls to have half of a day to rest and take it easy with our families before hightailing up north even further to Montana, where we would have the day before our first day of shooting. This is where it started for me, really, in my mind, where it kind of all becomes a blur and then in hindsight, probably one of the more nerve-wracking days of my life. So yeah, I was a little nervous about everything. Now people keep asking me over and over again, why on earth are you shooting this thing on film? I mean, I have a Red Scarlet, for crying out loud, that shot a lot of great films like Guardians of the Galaxy, The Social Network from David Fincher. I own that camera. And why am I not shooting this short film on that camera? And there's a lot of reasons why. I'm going to continue to make videos about why I love film versus digital. And what it all comes down to, this has been a dream of Alex, my brother, and mine to shoot a film on 16mm. We're passionate about it. It's something that we've always wanted to do. And we kind of promised ourselves that when we had a budget of some kind that we could put toward a project that was a little bit bigger, then we wanted to do everything we could in our power to get enough money to shoot it on 16mm film, because in the differences of renting a kit like an Alexa Mini or something similar, or Alexa 35 or even Helium or the Sony Venice, those are actually quite a bit more expensive than the day rates for this, including the film stock too. So we ended up saying the price comparison between the two, if we wanted to go like a full cinema package, why wouldn't we want to do the film package, where that's what we want to do anyway? And at the time, I was hoping that all the intangibles that would come with shooting on film would actually pay off in the end, because we had only done the one test shoot, and we shot on it, and it was magical and it was unbelievable. And we're like, imagine what it's gonna be like with real actors and sets and props and like on location. It's gonna be even more amazing than just shooting inside of a Airbnb room. The board rotates every 10 seconds, and your rental agreement will be printed at the end of the gate. Okay, on my way to the first stop, which is we're going to Kodak, which I'm really excited. I've actually never been to Kodak. Kodak is actually going to be donating. They have this certain type of stock that they can't sell, but they say it works pretty dang good. And we looked at some of the footage, what it looks like, and 75% of the time it doesn't even have any issues. So we basically just replaced all of our stock that we had for this project that we actually bought, that we'll probably return if we don't use all of it, we've got for free. So I'm really excited about that. Kodak really came in big on this project. I don't want to give too many specifics away because they actually told me to not to share too much about this, but here we go. I know that Kodak hooks up a lot of different indie filmmakers and students, and they have discounts for different reasons. This is literally maybe a month or so before we were going to shoot. I said, hey, we're shooting this film in Montana. We're going to come all the way down to LA to try to get a camera and to get stock and then fly back. And then within a week, we'll be back again to drop it off. And that's the lengths we're going to shoot on film. They actually wrote back pretty soon after. And they said, yeah, in fact, we actually may be able to help you guys out with the film stock. This doesn't happen every time, but it's always good to ask, right? But essentially, during the time that we were shooting this film, there was actually a batch of Super 16 Vision 3 that, for whatever reason, was marked as a batch that wasn't perfect, essentially. And what happened to this batch of film is that it had what they called the rain effect, which kind of had like a speckly, rainy kind of artifacting that would happen on the film. It was not super noticeable, but for larger productions, obviously they wouldn't want to maybe have that, and they wanted to be sure that it was perfectly clean, you know, Super 16 film. I talked with my DAT and Alex, the DP. They sent us over some footage, what it would look like in its worst case scenario, and we looked at each other and kind of thought, that looks kind of cool. Maybe that'd be really nice to have that in our film. The artifacts kind of make it look more tangible. It almost look like a heavier grain and more speckles to it. Well, they said, but if you want this type of film stock, about 80% of the time, it doesn't even show up when you scan it. But there is a slight chance that it does for the 20% of the film stock you get. So we're getting 5 rolls, and that would be like basically one of the 5 rolls would have that effect on it. And we looked at each other and kind of said, that would be kind of cool if we can get all of them to have that effect on it. So we kind of rolled the dice on that and thought, let's get the film and let's get some free stock, and we'll just make it part of the film and part of the aesthetics of our look, and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, we'll set it aside for you. How much do you need? And I wish I would have asked for more now in hindsight, but I said, well, we're going to be needing 2,000 feet, 5 rolls of 400 feet, which is 2,000 feet. You can come by and pick it up here at our office whenever you'd like, and it's waiting for you. And if I look at my calculator, we had a 15-page script, which meant we had 15 minutes estimated of runtime, and we were shooting a 3-to-1 ratio, a shooting ratio, meaning we have 3 takes for every 1 shot that we have. If you pull up it in the calculator, 2,000 feet of film is 55 minutes and 33 seconds, which, if you understand for card space, that goes pretty quick. But for me, that's almost an hour of footage we get to shoot for this film, which felt like an eternity's amount of film. And we were gonna get it all for free. And how much was that savings wise for a film like mine? It was about $1,200 for just the stock for 2,000 feet of film. It was really relieving to have that go our way a little bit. And I had no problem flying down there to pick up the kit and get the free film. So that was what I talked about in this, and it was exciting. And I'm actually curious to see what this place is like. Last time we were here for our test shoot, we went to Pro 8mm, which is kind of like an offshoot of selling, obviously, Kodak stock, but this is like Kodak I'm going to, down Sunset Boulevard. It's taking me forever to get there. Okay, so I made it. So I roll on in to Kodak. For those who haven't been to Kodak before or been there for any pickup for film, it's a little building. I was expecting this big, massive, there's so many big buildings down there, and like these sound stages and whatnot and rental houses, but it's a small little building. It's kind of tucked away and a little different than I expected, but it was just so cool to walk up and to see like the door saying, hey, here's the film pickup this way, and this is the way, drop off or whatever. And I walk in there, and I wish I was recording the entire time, because I had a great time there talking with the representative I was working with. And again, if you're watching this somehow, thank you so much again for being such a help on this project, and you made this little filmmaker's day a lot better and my life a little easier. Not only is the stock itself super great with Kodak, but the staff themselves, if you can get in touch with them, so knowledgeable of the medium, how it works, where you can flex with it, grading it. I was asking all kinds of questions. I was asking about, different projects that were rolling in there and picking up film. And at the time I was talking about Oppenheimer coming out in 70mm IMAX and how excited that was for them to be part of that project. And just talking with someone that had been talking probably with a lot of my favorite filmmakers was a kind of a starstruck moment almost. This, a couple people down at the Kodak shop, and it was really exciting. And I was so thrilled about that experience picking up film that I actually spent longer than I probably should have. And as you understand from the last video that we did our test shoot, and you can watch here, we greatly underestimated how long it takes to get around downtown Los Angeles and Burbank and those areas. It takes forever. Just double your time to get anywhere. And I didn't learn my lesson, I don't think. And I don't really understand if I looked at the clock or saw, I was on Mountain Standard Time versus Pacific Time. So I actually had one less hour than I was anticipating. So instead of having 5 hours, I had more like 4 hours. I get to Chris's house. I see the kit. He gives me some instructions. I record a video. of him explaining how to package and kit up, you know, every piece that's involved for our AC. Ricky, who again has never used this kit before, who has never shot on film before, so we're getting all the information we can. Here's how this is, here's how that works, here's blah blah blah, and he just like, here's how you put it away. And we chat a little bit more. I get back in my car, say goodbye to Chris, ready to drive away with my new box of stock next to me and my SR2 behind me in its case. I punch in the directions back to the rental car place, and I realize something very terrifying. I am going to arrive there at 3:30 California time when my flight leaves at 3 o'clock. Immediately I know there's no way I'm getting home, and I'm going to miss my flight. Thank heavens it didn't start the next day. I essentially had the most essential items for this film, the film stock and the camera itself, with me, and I had to get it back to Salt Lake City. And not only that, I had my brother and his wife coming into town from Phoenix where they lived, and I had to drive them back to Idaho Falls, and then Alex and I were going to go from Idaho Falls to the set essentially the next day. So I had very little time to find a flight. I reroute myself to go along the scenic route, hoping I'm going to somehow cut through traffic and make it there on time. I didn't. I arrived at the rental house basically as my plane was taking off. I didn't come short. I was like an hour or two off, completely off of how much time I need to get back. I was able to look while I was kind of stuck in traffic at stoplights, book a new flight through Delta that was going to be flying in about 2-3 hours later. But I felt relieved when I was like able to get a new flight, and I had to relay to Derek, the producer, who's at the time playing assistant director and trying to coordinate all the different crews, going from me from California, Alex coming from Phoenix, people coming up from Utah, and then we have our crew setting up shop right now that from Novavento that are getting things going in Montana. So he's running around like a little crazy, and then I gave him the news that, oh, by the way, I missed my flight, Derek, so I'm not going to get there until late tonight. So it's just like another wrench that was thrown on this whole plan, and it's like Murphy's Law. If it can happen, it will happen. Those things are going to happen before, and so luckily for him, he's not only an incredible co-writer, director, but also a really good assistant director that can move and pivot and figure out ways to make things happen. And it was going to work. We figured it out. And like when you're getting so close to the starting of the race that you've been worried about for so long, and then something like that happens where you miss your flight, even though it's not a big deal, you just rebook a flight and you get on again and you just keep on your way. Like there were just so many pieces that had to go right. It was definitely like, oh man, if this is already happening, what else is going to happen? What other stories are we going to have for this whole project that I'm going to tell you guys about and laugh about with you, and you can learn from it. But at the time when you're going through it, it's really, really not fun. We live, we move on, we learn. Next video I'm planning to make is going to be day one of the production for Lone Mountain. And so hopefully I can really give you the feeling and show you as much as we can with our footage we shot behind the scenes of it, and give you a sense of what it's like to shoot a film on 16mm. I'm going to give you a little preview right now. There were a lot of things that I could have never guessed that could have happened in my even wildest dreams that happened on the set of Lone Mountain. And I'm going to bring you guys through every single step, every single moment of those exciting, thrilling, unbelievable moments, and also terrifying like moments that you just put your hands in your head and you're just like, why, how is this happening right now? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Looking forward to talk about day one for production on Lone Mountain.